What's up, greedy capitalists? Good evening. Welcome to Wine with Wyan. Clement, you look different.
I changed a little bit. I did my hair different.
That's a rapid change, really.
Yep.
Your hair is different.
Hair is different.
Ines Manziano, the secret to my success. Cheers. What are we drinking tonight?
So I recently went to Italy to drink a lot of wine, and I learned a lot about Chiantis. And so I picked this one. It is not one from my private stash because I want to start testing what I learned from Italy.
All right. So can you in 60 seconds or less tell us how to pick a good wine?
Well, year, location depends on the flavor. So it's all very different and all very specific. So I can't give that to you in 60 seconds or less.
Ines, what's the greatest challenge facing the world right now that we need to solve tonight?
Having more fun with my friends.
I agree. Speaking of fun, we just got back from the Capitalism Conference a week ago, and this was your first one on the team.
Yes.
Tell us about the Capitalism Conference.
I loved it. It was super exciting. It was super awesome. Everyone seemed like they were learning and having a good time and connecting, which was what I love. I do enjoy that a lot. I want everyone to connect and hang out and realize we are all in this together.
So the Capitalism Conference is a 3-day experience where we bring in keynotes in our community, and I like to call it, we demystify impossible results. So it just becomes normal during the course of 3 days of people talking about $100 million businesses, billion-dollar companies. There's people who are bringing like, here's where I am and here's where I want to go. And then following up with them on Wednesday, completely new paradigm just because of what has been normalized. Our brains are normalizing machines. It's why, like, if you take somebody from the year 1100 and you plop them into today, they'd freak out, right? Like, what is all of this? There's planes in the sky. What are these things on roads? I don't know what roads are. And why is everyone speaking English? Why am I thinking in English? And the reality is 3 days in, it would be normal. Right? Because our brains are really good at normalizing. So when you get into a room where you have individuals who have built incredible businesses and you're surrounded by people who are running in the same direction as you, it just becomes normal for you to think the way that you need to think in order to achieve amazing things, do amazing things. There were a lot of people who came into the Capitalism Conference that were saying, like, I just want to go from here to here. And then when they left, it was like, wow, the plan of where I was going to go was so darn small that I'm now like thinking through the goal and have a much clearer vision of what my life and my business is going to look like. I haven't told you this story yet. So our friend Cameron Harold just did a podcast episode with the president of the Cleveland Indians. So of course I listened to this. And he said something really interesting. He's the president of the Indians, but before he was at the Indians, he was at Procter & Gamble. So you're familiar with Procter & Gamble, right? I've
heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, they do Tide and Bounty and Charmin and like big brands. These are $100 million, billion-dollar brands. And so what he said, this was so interesting to me. He said, so when I came out of Procter & Gamble and started working for the Indians, you know, the Indians are I think he said like $100 or $300 million a year company. I had to start thinking about, oh, well, now I have to run a small family business. It was like, oh my goodness, my like goal, like my vision is chump change to somebody else. Oh, I'm thinking so small. It was one of those moments where it was like, where you realize you're thinking about it wrong. And how you think determines the actions that you take and where you go. And it was like he opened up my brain, reached in and went, and then put my skull back on. And like, if you've been stuck at a certain point in revenue or business or net worth or whatever you're working on for longer than like a year, you're probably thinking about it wrong. And so a few tweaks in that, or a few changes in that mindset, just change the way that you operate.
Well, you know why people do that, right?
Tell me.
Because they're scared.
Scared of?
Being super successful.
Okay. I don't know if I agree, but I haven't
Okay.
heard why yet. So tell me what. Tell me what you mean.
The fear of success is what scares them the most, because it could be a lot. It could be, it's obviously it's personal on most levels. So it could be they're afraid of what people might ask of them. They're afraid of that they can't do it. So their fear is like, for me to make $1 million next year might be, you know what, that's easy, it's tangible, I can touch it, it's possible. To say I want to make 10 million, I'm like, oh, that's just too hard, and I don't want to do the work, and what if I fail at it, and what if? So it's that fear that holds you back from going after the 10 million, when in theory you should be going after the 100 million.
Well, are you actually afraid of the 10 million, or are you afraid of the feeling that you will put on it if you don't hit it?
Most likely that if you fail, does that mean you're a failure?
So like what it says about yourself.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. Just say, like, people, like people just get scared of what they think is impossible when it's very possible with the right mindset, the right adjustments, the right people on your team, it's all, it's not just you, it's having everything in line that will get you there.
Great point. And I think a lot of the fear that comes around that is the idea of shouldering the burden yourself.
Right.
Figuring it out, doing the work, making adjustments, you being at risk. So to me, the fear is like, it's almost like a survival thing. So here, if you fail, no big deal. It's normal to fail. You go forward, you move on, whatever. You start the next thing. That's not the case everywhere. It's not normal over there. And that ends up dictating what you do, what the tribe, what the society says is normal or scary, that you perceive is going to give you status among those people. That's how you ultimately are making decisions. And so if you're in a group of people where if you fail or succeed, your status is the same, or if you fail, sometimes your status is higher. In Silicon Valley, you actually, if you try something and fail, you're more likely to get plugged in than if you didn't do anything at all. So because of that, you can kind of hack this by who you hang out with and how you look at the problem that you are trying to address. Do you know that I have the world's most unimpressive reality TV show reel?
No.
So I was a finalist for a show. I was actually on the roster for a show on Fox called Utopia.
From reality mastermind John DeMol.
And it was canceled before I was ever on it because it was a shitty show. It was so bad. It was the most expensive reality TV show flop in history.
What?
They lost $53 million. It didn't even make it 3 months. It was so much fun to watch it burn.
Utopia, the world awaits from Fox.
So that was one. I was a finalist. I was on a me and one other person for Big Brother.
I heard.
And I didn't make it. Aww. And I'm glad I didn't make that one because that ended up being a season where like pretty much everybody on the show was accused of being a raging racist.
Oh, wow.
So I'm glad I didn't make that one. I've been a semifinalist for The Bachelor. I've been a semifinalist for Survivor. I was on the roster for a show about religion that got canceled before my flight to LA. So I have the most...
Wow.
Yeah, they called me the day before my flight and said that they weren't doing it. Yep, so I have the most unimpressive reality show reel.
Right?
That we have to make our own show?
Yes, of course we do.
All right, so
of course we do.
Let me put this out into the world. If there's anybody who is well connected in the reality show world, I've got a bunch of ideas for business-themed shows, which I think would be really fun and timely right now. So,
is it dramatic enough, though? Because it has to be dramatic, too.
We need to introduce some love interests.
Yes, you need to spice it up. It can't just be business. You have to spice it up so people watch it.
Bachelor business, basically? I'm liking where this is going.
Okay.
So it's going to be steamy and profitable.
Yeah.
That'll be the name of the show. Steamy and profitable.
As long as you're not selling anyone, I think we're okay. There's that fine line we got to watch.
On that note, we had a really good question submitted from a Mr. Jonathan Sears.
Oh, he did.
And Jonathan Sears asked, what are the most devastating WWE wrestling moves to practice on other entrepreneurs?
Okay.
And obviously the answer is the Tombstone Pile Driver.
This is Tombstone!
And the Last Ride. The Undertaker's 2 moves. Very, very common misconception that it's the pedigree.
And we're in trouble! Pedigree!
And it's not. It is not the pedigree. Pedigree is remarkably easy to escape. Okay, ask me how I know. Stephanie McMahon tried to pedigree me over and over again backstage at the Capitalism Conference.
A pedigree?
But I'm very elusive. I'm wiry and quick.
It's all the yoga.
And I was able to escape. Right. It's all that 7 times I've done yoga. That's what. Now she finally connected and got a pedigree on me, and it hurt like a mother licker. It did, but I would still take that over a Last Ride from the Undertaker.
Okay.
Hello?
What's up? You're live on Wine with Wyan. Who we got?
It's Matt.
What's up, Matt? What can I do you for?
We're trying to promote our brand on Instagram and get started, and we're trying to use influencers to get their followers to come to our brand. And I was just wondering what tactics you were seeing work best to do that.
No, number one, do you have an amazing frickin' product that influencers want to talk about?
Yeah, we actually do. There's a lot of humor in it. It's called Happy Nuts, and it's for your balls. It's a performance product, though. It applies as a lotion, and it dries as like a silky smooth powder that fights against moisture.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Smelling good, and it prevents chafing and cuts and nicks shaving. So.
Did you say, I'm sorry, did you say it prevents cuts and nicks while shaving?
Yeah, because that silky smooth layer, when you get water on it, it actually acts as a buffer. You
mean for dudes who are shaving their nuts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but that
whole so, look, a lot of people want the hack to get influencers. There isn't one. You have to find the influencer whose message absolutely aligns with who you want to be as a brand. If the product fulfills a need for that person's audience and they would be proud to represent it, then getting influencers is really, really easy. What most people are trying to do is force their product into the influence, and you can't. You can't force it unless you just want to overpay, and you'll have some people who talk about it just to get a check. But you don't want people just talking about it for that. You want people talking about it because they believe in it. You want people sharing it naturally. We saw this with poopery, right? A kind of a similar market, right? We're talking about poop before it was cool to talk about poop. But it was done in a way that communicated to the audience that it was okay to share it. It was the message wasn't about poop or about the problem. It was more about women than anything else. And so as a result, you have natural sharing of that. It's easy to get influencers for that. And the way you'll know is, does it make the influencer look good by sharing it? If it's make you look good, does it make the influencer look good to share it? If so, you have yourself a winner and you won't have any problems.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Good to chat with you.
Yeah.
He didn't seem enthused at the end. He just said, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Matt,
he was at work, so I don't know if maybe that.
You know what? Maybe he's got nicked up balls.
Maybe he has nicked up balls.
He doesn't use his own product.
That's it, man. You gotta believe in your own stuff, man. I got this great product for you called Happy Nuts. HappyNuts.com. It's a great product that can solve that problem.
Hello?
Is this Chris?
It is. Is this Ryan?
Chris, this is Ryan, and you're live on Wine with Wyan.
I have a business with recurring revenue for myself personally. Call it $20,000 a month that I could put in the bank.
Yep.
I'm trying to decide what to do with it in this current economic environment, and I just want your advice.
All right, so first things first, how much do you need in the bank for you to be good and chill and not worry about money at night?
Yeah, with the family and everything, $4,000 is more than enough.
All right, cool. So take the first 2 months and put it in the bank so that you are just good for a year no matter what, right? From there.
Okay.
Now, here's where I'm a little bit hesitant to give advice. I do think that we're at the top of an economic cycle. I don't think that paper assets like stocks and real estate have any more room to go up in paper value. And I also have been wrong about the economy and the price of stocks for a long time. So I have made the habit, rather than trying to predict stock market or economic cycles, I have a certain allocation every month to go into dividend paying stock that meet my criteria. Inside the 1%, I have a whole lesson on how we pick dividend paying stock. But when the signals are right, I buy dividend paying stock. I don't care about where we are in the cycle. I care about the signals and the yield being what they need to be for me to make a strategic decision. And so the thing I buy most regularly from a month-to-month standpoint is dividend paying stock. If you want to be extra conservative, then one of the foundations of my investment strategy is a wealth warehouse, which is a place to park cash, like a second bank account. It's tied to the market, so it will go up in value, but they never go down in value. So if there's a market recession or correction, you don't lose any of that money. You're only tied to the upside. Tony Robbins talks about it in Money Master the Game. If you wanted to, we could come up with other ways from there, but if you did only those three things, have a year's worth of expenses, regularly invest in dividend paying stock, and park cash in a wealth warehouse, you'll be miles ahead of most people.
I'm going to look into that. I'm going to rewatch the live just to make sure I get the picture, and I'm going to do that. I appreciate that.
All right, you bet. And look at the lessons that are inside the 1%. They'll really help you out if you're spitting off that much cash.
You ready to talk to Dan?
Yeah, this is Dan.
Yep.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
Oh.
Your call cannot be completed.
Let's try
Dan.
again.
Dan.
Maybe it was user error.
Dan, you're killing me here, man.
Maybe I had too much wine. Oh, it was me.
There we go.
Too much wine. Sorry,
That's
guys.
a different kind of ring.
Hello?
Hello, Dan. Tell me about your business.
So I sell kind of not a very concentrated or a very focused line of items. I have 7 items on Amazon now, but I'm kind of just stuck at this point.
And what point is that, Dan?
Well, my sales aren't going up to the point where I'd like to be, and then I also have a couple items that I don't have enough reviews, I feel like.
Okay, do you want to know the secret to getting a lot of good reviews?
Selling a lot of products and a quality product.
Selling a product that
like
people want and love.
Right.
Selling a great product that your core customer wants and loves. You don't have a core customer. So if you want any sort of success, you need to pick the 2 products in that line, identify who the core customer is, and cut out all the rest.
Should those 2 products be related, or should I pick just the 2 best?
You should pick aligned products. And if you have to pick just one, that's fine. You're still going to outpace the growth of what you would do trying to chase 5 rabbits at the same time. So you pick the one that you're going to build a business around, not an opportunity machine, and you identify who that person is that's behind that purchase, and you go all in on that. And then you release product number 2, 3, 4, and 5 over the next year to that same core person, and you'll have a different business a year from now.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, my man. Thanks for the call.
Have a good night.
All right, see you soon. Bye.
Thanks.
So, at some point in your business, you have to set. Wow, there's the wine kicking in. At some point in your business, you have to make this pivot away from just opening up the next loop and building what it is that you want. And in order to be an effective entrepreneur, that requires you to be able to see into the future and make relatively educated guesses on what that future is going to be. Meaning, I know who my customer is going to be. I know what I want my business to look like. And then we pull that into the present. We start building it. That's your job as an entrepreneur. And many people are looking into the past and pulling that into the present and trying to reverse engineer a certain result, but they never really build anything. It's chasing money when you're just opening up loops, which is totally fine. But if that's the case, then you need to own that and be honest about it and say, I'm building a business that is all about maintaining really, really healthy cash flows and having solid EBITDA. And when you do that, then you can rally other people who believe in that mission, and you can compensate them based on profits, and you can have this machine that just spits off cash if that's what you want. But most people are just opening up loops, looking for opportunities rather than actually building something, and it gets in so many people's way. Special thanks to my right-hand woman, Ines Manziano. Don't mess with her. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Welcome back to Wine with Wyan. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.